sponsored by Shop G&O for the following season, everybody. Make sure you're checking out their brand new website launching on the 5th of May. If you sign up and become part of the members club, it's a £25 membership club, absolutely free, everybody. You can only get it through one Leeds. Competitive rates across the site as well. Better than Amazon, Vinted, and eBay. Make sure you check out Shop G&O. It is an e-commerce site which is tailored for all of your needs. Also, everybody, we are sponsored by Job Match Group. Talking about tailoring, make sure you check out this. It's got very specific job needs tailored to all of your every single needs. Make sure you check it out, everybody. Launching on the 6th of May. Well worth it. Finally, we're sponsored by the lads at Match Bingo. £2 per card, £5 for the price of 4. Get involved every match day, everybody. The QR code is in the corner. And let's get into the show, shall we? Well, good morning, one. Good morning, all. It's Connor. We're back here with the Rumour Mill, everybody. We're talking about several things today. Welcome. I hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's a show that promotes discussion, discourse, and, of course, friendly, respectful opinion. What is going on in your world? I can see Kiwis, I can see Aussies, I can see Americans, Canadians, Japanese, all in the comment section below, or have been in the comment section below over the last few days. And of course, the friendly UK bunch as well, and the Irish. We've got all of them in the building. What's going on, everybody? Let me know in the comment section below. Your daily Rumour Mill. We kick off every day, 10 a.m. GMT, talking about the rumours surrounding our great and wonderful club, Leeds United. Listen, we spoke yesterday on the channel about several bits. We're not going to cover those bits again. We do move on every single day. However, if you guys are interested, you can watch the 5 alternatives to Manor Solomon video I did yesterday evening. You might find it interesting. Today, we're going to do Connor 6 picks. We will do that, but I think I'm going to release it on the Patreon a little bit earlier, and then what we'll do is we'll release it on the main channel as well. So if you fancy that a little bit earlier, make sure you check on out the Patreon as well, and you're still getting all of your good stuff. So welcome to everybody. Good morning from sunny Dublin, and another Ireland resident in there with the resident alien. Shout out to you, mate. What's going on? Stu's in the building. Hey, Stu, what's going on? Morning, Connor. Thanks for the great content throughout the season. Caught you live again for the pool in Sorrent. Oh, Woody, why am I not there with you, my friend? I could do with a sort of a week away, a month away. That would help. Connor, the next Les Dennis. Yeah, why not, mate? Why not? Morning, Connor. Morning, Tom. Hello, everybody. I can't quite get to all of your mornings, but hello. I hope you're all good. Gaz in the building. Everybody's in the building. Sid's here again. Martin's here again. Morning, Connor. James is here as well. Hello, pal. Tom, Michael, all of you. Fantastic. Ayisi Ueda, number 9. There we go. We've got all of your suggestions and alternatives and stuff. And look, some of you might prefer the audio platform. So just to let you guys know that if you're in Sorrento or you're in Dublin, walking the dog, whatever you're doing, I upload all of these now to Spotify and Apple. So if you're interested, you can just listen to them. Listen to me, my dulcet Yorkshire tones in your ear. So yeah, that'll be uploaded a little bit later on. So you can do that. Also, yeah, there's bonus bits going on, but make sure you check out our sponsors as well. Okay, so let's get into the latest rumours surrounding our club, shall we? So as you can see here, John Lucumi or Lucumi is the latest centre-back rumoured with Leeds United. We've obviously had Xhaka Bijol, and this guy is the latest one. So he's at Bologna. He's been there 3 years now, and apparently Leeds United are dead set and very serious on the centre-back. So he can play both sides of a centre-back pair and has been very good for Bologna. You can see his Champions League minutes here as well. He's been an ever-present for them, and it looks like Leeds apparently have sent our representatives over there to talk to his representatives. Now, the key thing to bear in mind here is he is part of the Wasserman agency, and it feels like when you are part of the Wasserman agency, there is always sort of a link to Leeds United. A lot of our players are obviously led and represented by the Wasserman agency, but that is obviously how you get contacts, it's how you get signatures, it's how you develop relationships as well if you are both represented by the same agent. But it is key to note that when you are going to get some of these obscure links coming out, and Lucumi isn't that obscure. He's playing in Serie A, he's playing the Champions League as well, so he's not that obscure. However, it is key to know that when you are represented by the Wasserman agency, the links are basically continuously going to come up. So something to bear in mind, really, when it comes to these rumors, of course. The next one I wanted to speak about is an interesting one. It's Davide Ancelotti. Now, a lot of you guys will be saying to me, Connor, why do you want to talk about him? Why are you bothered about Ancelotti? Well, I've seen a lot of Leeds fans, obviously, Carlo on screen now is his dad. Davide is about to take control of Rangers, newly acquired by the San Francisco 49ers. So, yeah, very interesting. Now, I've seen a lot online in terms of Leeds being second fiddle. Leeds not being primary focus right now because obviously Ancelotti and his staff and other people are now taking over at Rangers, and they're trying to build a real framework and structure like they did at Leeds United. And there's a few Leeds fans who were a little bit perturbed by this. And I just kind of wanted to come on really and maybe quell a few of these nerves. I think Leeds are always going to be the cash cow. I've seen a few news publications online suggesting that Leeds are now going to be playing second fiddle to Rangers. I don't see why that would be the case. Leeds are going to be the cash cow. I know Rangers are going to be in Europe. I do understand that. But Rangers in Europe is one thing, but Rangers in the SPL is a different thing. You know, Leeds United in the Premier League is absolutely massive. It's gargantuan. It's huge. So we've spoken about this before as well when it comes to the shirt sales, when it comes to the revenue, the globalization of Leeds United, the commercial ventures that we are going to establish in the Premier League. Leeds are an absolutely... It's a gold mine. And I understand Rangers are a massive club, huge club. And we're all very aware of that. But I just think the 49ers have played this smart. I think they're trying to establish a bit of a group. You've seen the City group do exceptionally well when it's spread across the globe, really. I think that is something that the 49ers will try and do, obviously with them still being in bed with the Red Bull network as well, who have established Red Bull Salzburg, Red Bull, Leipzig, etc., etc. You are going to see something similar, in my opinion, with the 49ers. Before they came to Leeds, they were very interested in several clubs from Spain. So I think they are trying to develop a little bit of a network here. And I'd be surprised if it just stopped at Rangers. I would be very surprised if that was signed, sealed and delivered. That is the only club we're going to own. Or these are the only two clubs that we're going to own, Rangers and Leeds United. But the interesting thing about Davide Ancelotti is when The Guardian were doing the piece and there was a lot of murmurs and rumours about Daniel Farke maybe leaving the club, Carlo's son, Davide, amongst others, like Roger Schmidt as well, they were being rumoured to take the helm at Leeds United, which is very interesting. And we're going to get in a little bit to a manager who was weirdly still been linked with Leeds United, and it's a very odd publicised thing the other night, of which we're going to get into. But yeah, Ancelotti was one of the rumoured names. It was spoken about by Keegan. It was spoken about by the Telegraph as well, and the Guardian. And obviously the murmured names, Davide was one of them, but obviously he's now gone to Rangers. And I think we're going to see this a lot. I think we're going to see a lot of the rumours almost just verge on each other, in terms of Rangers and Leeds because of the 49ers link. And I think it makes a lot of sense. So that's something to bear in mind. It's probably going to seep a little bit into the rumours, when maybe Rangers players that Leeds are linked to and Leeds players Rangers want. I think we're going to see a lot of this now, which, people might think it's a bit of a conflict of interest, but I don't think it's too bad, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to trying to just take it in my own stride, really. Take it in I don't see why it's going to be an issue for me. I don't see why it's going to be an issue, at all. It is just the rumour mill at the end of the day. At least it's more than O'Brien. I love a live stream and keep up. Thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. Good morning, Connor. Shout out from Wisconsin. Been a while since I joined the live. Shout out to you, Pedro. Steve's in the building. Nice, Steve. Morning, mate. I hope you're well. Steve says as well, morning, Con. Look like Solomon is on his way to France. Yeah, we'll get into the Solomon bits in just a little bit. Toby says, does this mean we are signing Ryan Kent? Don't think so, mate. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. Let's be honest, Celtic and Rangers would love to be in the Premiership. Thank God we are second fiddle if it means not getting Ancelotti. Yeah, I don't think we are, Jason. I think at this moment in time, it's a lot of noise of which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I get Rangers in the Champions League is massive. I understand that, but that is just a cup competition. You know, that is just a cup competition. When it comes to the main domestic competition, Leeds United are always going to be in the Premier League, in my opinion. Look, we could have a conversation if Rangers were in the Premier League, but Leeds in the Premier League is always going to be the number one priority, in my opinion, for the San Francisco 49ers. So, and we're going to be the cash cow, aren't we? Morning, I'm sorry, but 40 million for Kelleher is madness. Surely. Morning, Connor says, Riley, hi, Riley. Thoughts on Nico Paz from Como? Mate, I'm going to get into my picks in a little bit. Don't worry about that. Morning, Con. His relegation record isn't great, but Ramsdale surely has to be a shout. He needs to be decent with a defence in front of him. Martin says, who would you like to sign in the summer transfer window? Martin, I'm going to do a separate video on it, mate. It'll either be out tomorrow, and I might release it on the Patreon a little bit earlier on. But yeah, I'm going to do something on that, mate. Don't worry. As I said, if you guys want to do watch something quite similar to that, I have done Solomon alternatives, which kind of veers into some plays that I will be looking at. That's a video I did last night. I can pin that in the comments if anyone's that bothered about it. I'll tell you what, guys, I'll do that right now for you because I know some of you might not have seen that. So if you are interested, I'll just prang this. We're going live, aren't we? Well, we're live here, aren't we? So, I will just. And guys, before as well, please make sure you're slapping a like on the video. I've not asked for any likes this morning, but please do as a solid. We're doing it every single morning at 10 a.m. So make sure you do that. But after this video, go check that video out, and you might see some of my alternatives if you are bothered. Okay, so let's get on to the next bit of news, and it was Chrissy Wilder. So Wilder yesterday was talking about Leeds United, and he was talking about how jealous he was of the celebrations that Leeds were having. And look, we've had a bit of a ding dong, haven't we, with Wilder this season? And I think it's been quite interesting because, you know, with Chris Wilder, in all fairness, he hasn't really given it back to Leeds, has he? But I feel like he's been under fire from Bamford, and he's been under fire from just the fan base even more than normal. It's because we've got our own back, isn't it? Those Muppets from Leeds was a big thing in 1819 or 1920, whenever it was. And we've sat on that for years. You know, we've sat on that, and Wilder effectively getting the better of us, even though we've beaten them 4 out the last 5 times. And we've beaten them the 2 times, you know, we face each other in the Premier League. But it feels like it's always been a thing there with Wilder, and he mentioned last night that he is jealous of Leeds United for the achievements that we've had for you know, this season and for that last day that we had. And it was interesting to hear him talk, really, because he was doing it with decorum, he was doing it with a bit of class, but it feels like there has been a very different Chris Wilder this season. You know, when we battered them at Ellen Road, he was very much like any team that finishes above Leeds United will win the league, and that has come to fruition, to be fair to Wilder, and he stuck by his guns with that. He was very respectful in the second game as well. So I think he kind of understood with Leeds that maybe he'd overstepped the mark, and maybe when him and Pat Bamford had that call after Pat Bamford was starting the chance of Wilder is a, you know what, maybe they had a chat about that, and it's quite funny. But they were dominant last night, absolutely dominant against Bristol City, and it was the most one-sided, 2-legged playoff semi I've seen, really. It was just completely dominant, pointless, really, when it comes to any sort of fixture. And shout out to Sheffield United, because, you know, it means obviously that if they do get to the Premier League, we can carry on a little bit of content, of which I know you guys do enjoy, and other bits and bats as well, albeit I hope that we are punching above Burnley and Sheffield United next season. Now, I think the 49ers would hope that as well. But it's something to bear in mind that, you know, if they do get there, I mean, guys, let me know as well. Do you think Sunderland are going to get there? I personally feel that if it is Sunderland, it's going to be a bigger problem. It's going to be a much bigger problem for Sheffield United. I think if Coventry get there, I think they'll get past Coventry. I don't think it's going to be as easy. I think it's going to be a 50-50 shoot between Sunderland and Sheffield United. I thought Sunderland against Coventry were a much better Sunderland than what we've seen. And obviously they'll be riding the crest of a wave, really, when you're looking at them beating Coventry, which they haven't done since the 70s, I believe. So, but as well, everybody, if you're interested in that, we will be doing another watch on the Conor McGilligan channel a little bit later on. Link for that is in the description below. Okay, so the only keeper that I don't want is Ramsdale. I really don't rate him. Yeah, Ramsdale. I mean, let's have a quick look at him, shall we, before we get on to the next rumour. Aaron Ramsdale, you guys do mention Aaron Ramsdale a lot to me. And what I can tell you about Aaron Ramsdale, and look, you don't have to believe this if you don't want. Let's have a look at his. These are let's put some good stat pack together. What stat pack can we put on him? We don't want to put his Premier League record on. Let's put his FA Cup record on. How about that? So, what I can tell you about Aaron Ramsdale is he definitely would welcome the move, and I can tell you that. You know, we don't get told a lot on the channel, a lot, but when you do hear snippets, he would welcome the move to Leeds United. No way. Absolutely no way. And I don't know why from a section of our fan base there is this kind of like want for Aaron Ramsdale. I don't really get it. Maybe it's because, I don't know, he had a bit of a running theme with Leeds when Arsenal would play us in the Premier League and he would turn around and give Leeds fans it a little bit. Maybe it's that. I look at the more logistical standpoint and think I can't really take away the fact that he's been relegated, because I mentioned that with Ethan Ampadu. Ethan Ampadu had been relegated 3 times. Then Leeds went and bought him, and it's been an unbelievable signing. You can't just say because he's been relegated, he's a bad player. You can't do that, although it doesn't look great on the CV. What I will say about Aaron Ramsdale, though, is my worry about him and my constant worry about this guy has been his concentration. He's come out on several interviews and said, I lose focus in football matches. Oh, do you, Aaron? Well, we're trying to stay in the Premier League, mate. So, yeah, if you're losing focus and you're panning to the crowd and giving to the, you know, if you are effectively Jamie Vardy in net, you're always giving it to the crowd and you lose focus and you get involved with, I don't want you anywhere near this club. We've had a goalkeeper who loses focus, who loses concentration, and he doesn't even admit it, you know? And I'm not pressing him to admit that, by the way, but, you know, for me, when you look at Illan Mele, he has lost focus in many games in different ways. But when you actually look at Aaron Ramsdale and he gets taken away by the crowd, that is a massive worry for me. I do not want that in the Premier League. In the Premier League, you need a dependable, reliable person between the sticks, which Illan Mele did okay in the Premier League. But for me, we've not had a quality operator between the sticks in the Premier League in our recent history. So absolutely nowhere near Aaron Ramsdale. Loft says, all right, Con, aye, mate. No to Ramsdale. No chance, mate. This is 1985. Shout out to you, Rye, as well. Morning, Rad. How you doing, buddy? Edward says, Connor, I might be wrong, but Sheffield have never won in the playoffs. Some of the records is brilliant at Wembley. It never was, mate, but I think they've turned it around a little bit. Live today, Connor from San Fran. Oh, Andy, I'm jealous. Get me a plane ticket out there, mate, and we'll do something. Just my opinion. If Matteo Joseph goes to a decent championship team on loan, he scores 20+ goals. Michael says Ramsdale. We've already had a GK that concentrate while get another one. Wayne's in the building. Hi, Wayne. It's going to fall like dominoes. If Sheffield don't go up, we go for Cooper. If they do, then they need Newcastle to sign Trafford, as heavily rumoured. Then we can go for Pope. That's Nick Pope, not the Pope. Yeah. And we'll get onto a goalkeeper, as I'm sure you guys are aware in just a little bit. But it's you guys always just we speak about rumours because you guys are more interested in other bits as well. So you'll put a name in there like Aaron Ramsdale, and I'll speak about him a little bit. But yeah, not for me. Not for me. I think Nick Pope's a good shout. I think I would not say no to Nick Pope. Nick Pope would probably be, if you to give me one, like I mentioned, my target, and we'll get onto my target in a future video. But if you are to go someone domestically and we can get hold of him, Nick Pope would be an unbelievable signing. We're all very, very aware of that. Cooper at Sheffield United, once again, he's not proven at the top level. I rate Cooper a hell of a lot. But when you do look at Trafford and when you do look at Cooper, it's naturally going to be a bit of a risk. I guess with Trafford, because, he's part of the England setup, he's had a little bit of experience at Premier League level, albeit it wasn't great at Premier League level. We're all aware of that when it comes to James Trafford, but, he was a bit younger, wasn't he? A lot younger. Cooper is a little bit older, but he's not at that top level experience. And once again, someone going for someone like Cooper at Premier League level will be a little bit of a risk. So I don't know if we do that, to be honest with you. Chris this morning from sunny Stockport, Connor. It's nice today, isn't it, mate? I'd look at Sam Johnston. He impressed me when he was number 2 at Palace. Where are you in Stockport, mate? Let us know. Morning, Connor. Hey, Gaz. How's it going? Thought Melee was class that first season in the Premier League. Yeah, that's what I mean, Freddie. I think he was all right. He was decent. And we're not going to hammer him that much for that, of course. Right. Well, we'll move on now to the man who... Guys, I'll be honest with you. There's so many conflicting reports here. I still am not... don't properly understand it. And that's not because I'm not well versed on it, because I've been looking at articles here, there, and everywhere when it comes to our publication, when it comes to French publications. We spoke about it yesterday. We did alternatives yesterday, which I do encourage you guys to check out. Okay, Sasha Tavalieri, a very prominent European journalist, has said today that Marseille deny any interest in Solomon. However, this could be very much just a quell when it comes to negotiations, to quieten the noise around Solomon. We all know that when we know that clubs are in negotiation, agents talk. We all are very well aware of it being, other clubs might see the interest from Marseille and think, oh, well, we're going to talk to Solomon. Solomon's welcome to a move abroad, of which 6 months ago to 12 months ago, we were all very aware that Solomon wanted to stay in England. But now, apparently, he's open to the move to Marseille. So if this is a big noise all of a sudden, we're all very well aware of this with Leeds United, that when it becomes a bigger noise, other clubs come in. So Marseille will want to keep this as quiet as possible, in my opinion. Get negotiations done quickly, easily, efficiently, and under the radar. And when you look at someone like De Zerbi at Brighton had a reputation for wanting to get the business done early. And at Marseille, it's very, very similar. They want to get the business done early. The big thing as well is Enrique has gone, or is going to Inter Milan for 25 million euros. Obviously, which means they've got that money that they can just expend to Tottenham immediately if they want to spend all that on Solomon. The green light is apparently 16.9 million quid. And then apparently Solomon's camp and his representatives have said, yes, I would welcome the move to Marseille. So conflicting reports. Sasha has mentioned that, but then you get French Football News who is saying that Solomon has given the green light. Publications close to Tottenham as well, speaking literally within the last 13 to 14 hours, saying that Solomon would welcome the move to work with De Zerbi. So it's we were speaking yesterday on the show and we were talking about it being potential that Leeds could get him on loan. Now it looks like Marseille will pay a transfer fee. So if that is the case, Leeds United will probably have to stump up a transfer fee as well. And if they have the, collateral to spend on him immediately, which it looks like they will do with the negotiations with Inter, and if they want to put that money into Manuel Solomon, which by all reports are suggesting, that it's leading that way, Leeds United might have to stump up the transfer fee. Now, the issue with Leeds, we've mentioned this several times when it comes to PSR, 20 million for Leeds right now, without sort of any expenditure, is a real outlay. It's a real outlay. Can you get players who are potentially cheaper than Manuel Solomon and as good as Manuel Solomon? I mentioned this several times. I mentioned a couple of my targets yesterday. But the cold, hard facts are I was very impressed with Manuel Solomon towards the end of the season. At the start of the season, I was a little bit worried about him. You guys all know this if you've watched the show. I was very worried about him. Leeds are spending a lot of money on him per week. Alongside that, his injury record was horrendous. 3 major surgeries in his last 5 years. And it was almost last chance saloon for him. He needed to go out on loan. We beat Ajax to the signature. Unbelievable status from Leeds United there to be able to do that when you look at the giant that Ajax is. But I was always a little bit worried about his injury record. He came over that with Leeds United, played 39 games, was, for the majority of it, outstanding for Leeds United, apart from a little bit of a barren spell where he got 1 goal contribution in, I think it was 10 games. But at the end, effectively sent us up and was arguably our best player. We are Premier League Leeds United now. And for me, there are as good a players out there for maybe better value. And then we talk about, I mentioned this on my video yesterday, I'll give you guys a little bit of a snippet. I understand having top level experience. And that's why I've made the picks that I have yesterday. I think top-level experience is absolutely key. And that doesn't mean playing in the Premier League. That could be playing in La Liga, Liga, and the Bundesliga. I think that's really important because you can almost transition to the Premier League, even though the Premier League is a much better standard. But a lot of the attributes are similar. Now, you've got to get the athleticism, the physicality, the speed right when you're looking at some players, and can that transition to the Premier League? I think there are a lot of players who you can play left wing, cutting in on that right-hand side, who could emulate what Manor Solomon has. And guys, cold hard facts, the guy has scored 4 goals and he's only ever made 24 Premier League appearances, full Premier League appearances. Okay? So it's not proven. So people saying Solomon is tried, tested, and proven, you can't say that because it's not. Even though if the fee was right, I would go and sign Manor Solomon. I'm not going to throw the dummies out the pram if we don't go and get Manor Solomon because there are alternatives out there, in my opinion. Alongside that, I would also make a big point to you guys, dependent once again on PSR, because this is really important when it comes to this individual. I would suggest that maybe Leeds United already have the answer. Now, for me, in the Premier League in particular, off that left-hand side, points even under Skabala and the period towards the end, Willie Gnonto was Leeds' most dangerous person off that left. I think he's better off the left anyway than he is on the right and central. I think Willie Gnonto's best position is off that left. If you've got him and Largi Ramazani off the left, that is very good depth, in my opinion, especially if you surround them with a striker who we've been speaking about in terms of a profile, who's a step up in terms of physicality, speed, agility to what Peru is, with Peru contributing, of course. And you got this guy, if we keep him, and that all obviously depends on PSR, but this guy, if we keep him, and Largi Ramazani, or even if Gnonto is to go and we get a replacement and Ramazani is there, maybe he can make that step up as well. Obviously, we've not seen it this season with the lack of development, but Largi Ramazani is in the conversation as well. Once again, top-level experience. Ramazani was tearing apart Real Madrid 18 months ago. Okay? Willie Gnonto has experience in the Premier League and was Leeds' shining star in the Premier League without getting the numbers, but he was 19 as well. Football is not always linear. Just because you're not outstanding in the Championship doesn't mean that you're not going to be good in the Premier League. Okay? We saw that with Pat Bamford. So, yeah. It's an interesting one. Come on, Connor. Gnonto can't lay Solomon's boots, and don't give me Ramazani. Solomon, I completely disagree with you, Bob. Completely disagree with you. But that's opinions, mate. That is opinions. I think we've not seen Gnonto off the left, which once again is his best position for me. And I appreciate your opinion, mate. Ramazani has had 790 minutes this season. Now, the conversation then comes to Bob. Is there any point in having a conversation about Ramazani? Is there any point in having a conversation about Willie Gnonto when the manager doesn't play them? There's a conversation there. 100%, mate. 100%. And that's why I think Leeds will go out and get a left winger. And I've got a feeling this guy goes as well. But I think, you look at his numbers there, he's not played that many minutes, really, especially when you look at that in comparison to Solomon. I think if you look at the numbers, which we can do, so 9 goals, 6 assists, 2,245 minutes, we'll just compare that. And that's, by the way, on the right-hand side. So just keep an eye on those numbers. And we'll look at Solomon's numbers, Championship numbers this year. So Solomon's played 400 minutes. And there's not that much difference, is there? Not that much difference. So that's just a comparison with those two. But I do believe that there is alternatives out there. I've done it on a different video as well. I've done it on a different video as well. It just seems like copium from UConn. Not at all, mate. No, not at all. But I'm happy to get your opinions in. But copium of what? Because I've always mentioned Gnonto on the left-hand side, always. But I let it die, to be honest, because there's no point in continuously talking about when it's never going to happen. Ramazani off the left is, we've seen it this season, best goals per 90, best XG and XA per 90 in the Championship. And he's had less than 800 minutes. So there is real opportunity there. Leeds have diamond wingers, really good wingers. And for me, I'd be focusing more on the right than the left. But that's just my opinion. Okay, so let's get on to the next bit of news, and it is on our absolutely fantastic Marcelo Bielsa. Now, Bielsa has just become, I don't know if I can get a little, can I get a little graphic of Marcelo? Can we get a nice little headshot of Bielsa? We can't. What a shame. Graphics team, up it. Bielsa has become the honorary president of LUFC Iberia fan club. The chairman of the fan club was stunned by a 16-minute call by the fantastic Bielsa. Bland, who's the chairman, has a very good relationship with Pablo. Obviously, he's based out in Valencia. And Marcelo Bielsa has become the honorary president. And it got me in my feels a little bit. I can't deny it. What an absolutely fantastic man. Angus Kinnear has also become Everton CEO. That was made official yesterday. Now, I think it's obviously absolutely essential that he's been made the CEO as well. Why? Because Everton are moving to the Bramley-Moore development from Goodison Park. This was facilitated with Angus Kinnear helping Arsenal move from Highbury to the Emirates. He also facilitated the West Ham movement as well. He's very good at these sort of, deals when it comes and dealing with, as CEO, teams moving stadiums and stuff like that. So it does make a lot of sense. Leeds obviously moving into a bigger development when it comes to the 49ers, but maybe they think they've got their own expertise, obviously, with the 49ers moving to the Levi Stadium and having their own people in and around that. Okay, now something else that I wanted to speak on. Now, does this individual have a profile? Now, with managers, it's always a bit awkward because I don't think they don't, which is fine. Why would managers have profiles on a stats pack? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So what I wanted to speak about was Bold. Now, not Bild, not to be confused with Bild in Germany, but this is a Danish news outlet. Don't shoot the messenger, because I know a lot of people get upset about these sorts of things, but this is the rumour mill, and we are going to get onto the main one at the end. Bold have suggested that Leeds are interested in Mainz boss Bo Henriksen. Now, if you've not seen what's happened with Mainz this season in the Bundesliga, I would encourage you all to check out how incredible of a job Bo Henriksen has done this season. Ridiculous. Now, this is quite interesting. Now, Bold have suggested, because obviously it's a Danish relationship that they've got, but apparently the publication, or one of the representatives of the publication, journalist said, whatever, text Bo Henriksen. This is what they claim. Henriksen texted back and said he has no comment on the rumours, which I found a bit weird. Why would you not just deny it? Why would you not just deny Leeds' interest? So Bold are suggesting that there is heavy interest from Leeds United and their camp in Mainz boss Bo Henriksen. Obviously, and then there was a text message between the publication and Henriksen, and he didn't deny it and just said he had no comment. Now, what could this mean? This could be absolute poppycock, could be rubbish. Once again, publication, you've had our owner come out and back Daniel Farke publicly. On the other hand, they could almost be setting something up in the future. Could just be keeping Bo warm for whatever happens in the future. That could be what's also happening, depending on what happens with the gaffer. Do I think that's happening? No. But there's been a lot of talk online about this potentially happening. We also saw with this isn't unheard of with clubs preparing. We see it with Brighton all the time. Brentford have apparently got a litany of managers when Thomas Frank eventually decides to move on. Are Leeds just doing the potentially smart thing and just preparing and keeping that iron in the fire? That is potential with someone like Bo Henriksen, with the job that he's done in the Bundesliga. Who knows? So we all are very, very aware that clubs do prepare for this. We even know with our very own Marcelo Bielsa, who was the king at Ellen Road, that Victor Orta had been speaking to Jesse Marsh for 2 years. So this isn't out of the realms of possibility. Has Parag and the 49ers backed Daniel Farke? They certainly have. And do I believe they are backing Daniel Farke? I certainly do. But I do very, very much believe as well that with this absolute gargantuan, huge move of Leeds being in the Premier League, they will be making preparations if the worst is to happen. Now, let me know in the comment section below if you do think that is happening. That's not me saying that you should be going, because I know people like to create their own narratives here. That is me speculating, hypothesizing, and I could be wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times before. Bob says Solomon got us promoted and made us champions. Theoretically, he did, Bob, but it was the whole team. But yes, you are quite correct. He did get the goal, 100%, mate. So no William Solomon, who we're bringing in. Not sure, mate. Not 100% sure yet. Brett says, hi, Brett. Brett doesn't say that. Morning, Connor. I'm a late joiner. I think we should keep Ramazani and Nonso as they proved together when selected, which has been rare recently. I agree with you, buddy. Thanks for the show, dude. Thanks for you, James. Thanks for joining in, buddy. If you've ever been okay, I'm not going to read that one. Slightly disparaging on Marseille. JLG says, Nonso and Ramazani off the left. I think we definitely don't need to be paying 20 million plus for Solomon. If we get a good price, then we have to spend. Wisely. Brendan says, do you think we'll use the Red Bull connections during the window? I think it's potential, mate. I think it's potential. So a lot of people say, Lee's saying, I would rather keep and play Ramazani than Solomon. He's faster and 2-footed. I think there's a lot to that, mate. Because you can't say a player's not good enough just because he's not playing. You know, we mentioned that when it comes to, you know, I mean, Pat Bamford, when he was in, I mean, and he was playing for Leeds United, obviously under Marcelo Bielsa, but he got 15 goals in the Championship. He went up to the Premier League and scored 17, you know? Just because, and it did, bearing in mind in that season with Marcelo Bielsa, he'd score about 1 in 4 chances in the Championship. He got up to the Premier League, Pat Bamford, and as he said recently on a CBS interview, he thinks the Premier League suits him more. Okay, now do I think that's because of that season in the Premier League and Bamford's maybe potentially got worse since then? I think there's a bit of a correlation there, of course, but just because you're not playing or maybe not performing at the Championship does not mean that you can't do it in the Premier League. And I wonder if Ramazani was a bit of more of a long-term ploy by Leeds United, you know, to be a Premier League player. I really hope so. And I do hope we keep holding on. So I really do. Noxon says the club, the manager and team know Solomon. He's proved out was wrong around his injuries, which was the big factor holding back in the Prem. Players look for him when time's got to, I agree, mate. I agree 100%. And I don't disagree with that, by the way. Don't disagree with that at all. I'm personally just saying when it comes to Solomon, they're a naturally alternatives. I think it means he can't be bothered to address nonsense or he wants to leave job. Potentially, mate. Potentially. Good morning, Connor from sunny Atlanta. James says, I think it's rubbish, but for me, a similar style to Palace, and I do like the way that we play. Okay, before we get on to the last conversation, just getting on to a few of your comments as well. Yeah, Steve says, huge potential still for both Nonso and Ramazani. It must keep for me. What I will say, guys, is when we are talking about boxing, Bob, everybody, whatever, how much would you pay for him? And once again, I think we've got to take into consideration that the PSR, which we've spoken about the other day, and how much Leeds can spend without making player sales. How much would you spend on Man or Solomon? And do you think that form transitions into the Premier League? Do you think it does? As I said, I would go for Solomon, but it's got to be at the right price. It's got to be at the right price. I think there's a limit of which you can't go on. So let me know. But as I mentioned several times, it's not end game. I don't think it's end game if Leeds United are not signing him, to be honest with you. Okay. Let's have a look. Solomon on a loan for me. Loft says 15 million tops. Morning, Connor. Hey, Trev. Hussey says, I worry about his injury record. Last season was the first one where he's managed. It could be a poor 20 million spent. Noxon says more than 20 million is tough outright. It is, mate. 15 to 17 mil. Brett says, Connor, would you overspend and take the points reduction as I probably would? Brett, I think that's going to become a thing, mate. I think that's going to become a thing. You don't spend 20 million on Solomon. You can't. Judging Spurs, why would they want to sell him? 15 million plus add-ons. Yeah. You're all kind of in the same ballpark, really, there, which is fair enough as well. Okay, so let's get on to the last bit of conversation for this rumor mill, and please slap a like on the video, everybody, if you haven't already. This can be uploaded as well to Spotify, and will be uploaded to Spotify after this if you just want to listen to it. If you're out and about, please make sure you do that. You can search for all of our shows on Spotify and Apple, and they should come up under one Leeds. And right now, I know you Irish lot are going to get very excited about this. I think this is the first time we've spoken about Kelleher. This rumor mill, I think it is. So, Kelleher. You're probably looking at Kelleher and thinking, I mean, there's Pope in there. Is Pope a little bit more of a proven goalkeeper? Are we actually talking about Leeds getting Kelleher and Pope? I mean, is that a bit ridiculous? But apparently Liverpool have slapped 40 million quid on Kelleher. Now, that is enough for me to walk away. Bournemouth, Newcastle are apparently interested. We obviously know that they're trying to move on from Nick Pope when it comes to Trafford, maybe. But Kelleher's another one they're looking at. Kelleher has said that he outright wants first-team football. So he's done an exceptional job in terms of getting himself to this level of which people are looking at him and thinking, when Alisson's out, Kelleher comes in and does an absolutely magnificent job. Apparently it's Bournemouth, Newcastle, and obviously there's a few rumours around Leeds United and bringing the keeper to the club. I know there's a lot of Irish fans in here who will be buzzing about that. 40 million quid, though. What do you guys think? Like 40 million quid. It's a lot of money, isn't it? And once again, we have got to think about those horrible PSR restrictions. Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? But that is the price. That is the price that apparently they've put on him. 40 million quid. So yeah, there's not that much to discuss about him, I guess, in that sense. I think we're better looking at a left-footed winger like Celtic. It gives more variety. I'm a big fan of him as well, mate. Massive fan. Celtic produced some absolute diamonds. There's a lot of Celtic fans in here who suggest a hell of a lot of players. Maida as well, Tete as well. Morning, Connor. Seen a few comments about the points deduction, but you just know we'll get hit. Oh, we get hit with 22 points, wouldn't we? Never mind 2 points. Love him, but 40 million is way too expensive for me. Both unrealistic. Wages are a big thing as well. You got to consider as well. Wayne says Kelleher to Bournemouth, Trafford to Newcastle, Pope to Leeds. Bring it on. The domino effect you were talking about earlier, Wayne. 40 million for a keeper who hasn't a single season as a consistent number one, and he's only had 25 Prem appearances. Lee says Kelleher has only 12 months remaining on his Liverpool contract. Liverpool asking for too much, 40 million, walk away. Steve says Bournemouth have Kepa on loan. I'd take a chance on this. Unreal on his day and was treated unfairly. I'm Irish. I love Kelleher, but 40 million is too much for a third choice goalkeeper. Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one. Can we like, goalkeeper's so important. It's so important. And I've got my pick, and I think we've mentioned him on the Room Mill the other day, but Kelleher's, it's a lot of money in it. A lot of money. Your show is always great and constructive. Can't wait for the Premier League content, which is very exciting. Keep smashing it, Connor. Top man, Brett. Okay, guys, listen, I'm not going to waffle on for too much longer. It's 42 minutes. Normally, we try to keep the Room Mill to about 30 minutes, but last couple of days, you guys have been, you've been sending me over. My OCD is on Planet Zorb right now. Thank you. First and foremost, to all of you, you're all really enjoying the shows on a morning, and even if you're watching it on a replay, hello everybody. But as I've said, if you want to watch it on the replay, you can do. I just want to say thank you to all the donations after the chat as well. We had a couple of thankses on the video the other day. I just want to say thanks to Sean Gallagher, to Kirk as well. Thank you so much for donating to the channel. It really helps and goes back into it. And I just want to say as well, thank you to all of you for loving it. The Rumour Mill's back, everyone. And I love the Rumour Mill. It's my favourite show to do. I love talking about players. I love discussing rumours, even if it's not factual. It's the Rumour Mill. We talk about it. It's fantastic. And you guys love it. So thanks so much to all of you. If you want to join me on the watch along tonight on the second channel, you can do so. The pinned comment right now on the chat is my Solomon alternatives. A lot of you want what I would pick in terms of players. I'm going to do Connor's 6 picks. The reason I've done 6 picks is because apparently Daniel Farker has muted that Leeds need 6 players. So I've gone with Connor's 6 picks, which will be out very, very soon. Turn the notification bell on after you've subscribed so you're updated every time I upload. Head on over to the Patreon if you want some early dropping content and some bonus podcasts. All of these episodes will be uploaded to Apple and Spotify as well. Guys, I really, really appreciate you coming along. Bob, I love you too, mate. Who cares about disagreement, mate? It's life, isn't it? You should hear me and my missus. It's been an absolute pleasure, everybody. Have a wonderful day, wonderful evening. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. All the best.